oriented programming. Yeah? Actually, in real-time project development, so real world project development uses various programming systems. Actually, programming systems in real-time project development, we have a lot of programming systems. Like, so we have POPS, we call it as process oriented programming system. We have like OBPS, this is object based programming system. And we have like object oriented programming system. So all these are different. Actually, POPS means process oriented programming system means actually it supports low level features. Advantage is it can directly interact with hardware. So it is faster. It uses less memory. That means it can handle operations faster. Within less memory, it can operate, and it can directly control hardware devices. It can directly control it. But problems with example for this is C, Pascal, COBOL, all these comes under POPS, process oriented programming system. But drawback is reusability issues. We have extensibility issues will be there. It is not easy to extend. It is not easy for reusing. So dynamic memory problems will come. So it is not good in so many things, but it is good in others. So POPS is used in so many areas. So for example, you have refrigerator, washing machine, air conditions. They are controlled by using a software. With a remote or button, you control the fan speed, you control the temperature. That means it's a software. And that software is directly controlling hardware. Means you can rotate the fan, you can change the temperature. So if you observe those TV, refrigerator, washing machine, microwave ovens, and all these, they don't update. That means suppose you purchased, at the time of you purchase, whatever is there, the same will be there. That means some new features will not add. We can't change, we can't extend, we can't modify. We can just use what it is. And a small chip is enough, which is embedded inside it, and we can handle it. That is all embedded systems like C, Pascal like languages are used for that. Pascal is highly used scientific language. In space research, like concepts, they use Pascal, Visual Pascal. So they are all process-oriented programming systems. Problems are these. We have object-based programming system. Object-based programming system, actually, it supports reusability. It supports dynamic memory. But limited extensibility, not loosely coupled. It's hard for extending. Tightly coupled nature it is. So it is good supports reusability. So it can uses more memory than POPS. So it uses more memory than POPS, but it supports reusability and all this. But problems are not loosely coupled, so limited in extensibility. Security issues will be there. Security issues are there. Code level security is not good. All these are problems of OBPS. Example is JavaScript. So JavaScript is object based programming actually. It is not object oriented programming. So JavaScript and object based programming, JavaScript, VB is Visual Basic. All these comes under the concept of OBPS. So it is little better when compared to this, but they have certain issues. So it is not completely, JavaScript is not completely an OOP language. It's not completely object oriented. So it is technically an object based programming system, right? Now, what is OOP? OOP supports reusability. So reusability, it supports security, it supports extensibility. All these are advantages of OOPs, but here also drawbacks are there. Drawbacks with OOP is cannot directly interact with hardware. Cannot directly interact with hardware. So it is slow. So it uses more memory. So OOP language is not good or great every time. You cannot put a Java program in an air condition or refrigerator, washing machine. Even you can't use in space research. They are very heavy. For example, you might have observed, or you know that we have NASA. NASA have a rover on Mars. Current rover is Curiosity. Before that, so many rovers they have. They lost communication with the other rovers they launched several years back. Currently, they have communication with only Curiosity. Why they lost communication with other rovers? Because they can't take more commands. Their memory is full. That means you can't erase its memory. You cannot reset its memory. It is fixed. You can't send millions of terabytes into space. For example, I hope you know that. So we have to control that rover from land. That means, for example, so from Earth, they given a command. They given a command like turn left, right? Turn left. When they give the command turn left, then actually it takes approximately 20-25 sols to reach Mars. So 20-25 sols to reach Mars means one sol equal to 48 hours on Earth. That means you say turn right, approximately after 20-30 days, it will turn right on Mars. Right? I hope you know all this general knowledge. You have that. You know about how they work. That means you say turn right. So that means it will turn right after 20-30 days. So you might have know all these statistics data. Actually, one sol on Mars equal to 48 hours on Earth. It will take so much time. That means because it has to travel millions of light years and control a device on Mars. Java, .NET, these type of programming systems can't work there. It should be very lightweight. It should be not even C. It is Pascal actually they use. Very highly advanced scientific language, very lightweight. So after few years, they will lose communication. Why they will lose communication? Because it will not take commands anymore. Its memory will be full. In that case, new concepts it can't understand. It is lost, connection cut. So these are the points. That is the reason object-oriented programming is not great every time. So depending on situation and requirement, right? Object-oriented programming also have a lot of problems. But good is reusability, security, extensibility, and all. So example, we have languages like C++, Java, so .NET languages, so even TypeScript. So all these are object-oriented programming. These are all OOP languages. What are drawbacks? I told you. Now, very important, JavaScript is not an OOP language. It supports only few features of OOP. That means in object-oriented programming, several features are there. Out of that, only few are supported. So it is not a completely object-oriented programming language. So if anybody says Java is a OOP language, that is wrong. If anybody says JavaScript have some OOP features, that's correct. Right? It is not a OOP language, it has some OOP features. Actually, if you look at the basic history of object-oriented programming, so LNK in early 1960s introduced the concept of object into computer programming. Into computer programming, the concept of object was introduced by LNK. He introduced the concept of, so into computer programming, he introduced the concept called object. Already I told you what is object. Object contains related data and logic. Already we used object in JavaScript. He introduced that concept of object. Then in the early 1967, Johan Ole and Christian Nygaard, these two people developed the first object-oriented programming language called Simula. Simula is the first OOP language actually. Simula is the first OOP language. Simulation systems actually. It was introduced by these two people. They developed the first OOP concepts, object-oriented programming, in the early 1960s, and they developed a language called Simula. Actually, it is Simula 67, and it was used in a device called Smalltalk. Smalltalk, after Simula, it was used in the language called Smalltalk. After Simula, then it came Smalltalk. First it was Simula, after Simula it was Smalltalk. After Smalltalk, then what happened is another person called, so this is, in the early 1960s only, Trygve introduced the concept of code separation. These two people introduced code reusability. They introduced code reusability. And code reusability was with which language? Simula. After that, Trygve introduced the concept of code separation with a language called Smalltalk. Actually, he introduced a framework called MVC, Model View Controller, which is very popular even now. Every technology uses this framework now. It's very popular framework. He introduced this framework called MVC, which have code reusability and code separation. And it was first done with a language called Smalltalk. After that, So in early 1970s, in the early 19, not 70s, yeah, 1970s only, 75. In early 1975, so the language came C++. After that, in early 1990s, the concept Java took this OOP concepts popular. After that, in early 2003, so .NET languages so made these OOP concepts more popular among developers across the world. That means many times people who don't know all this, they think C++ is the OOP language. Before C++, so much is there. If you don't know, that is your problem, right? So C++ is not the first OOP language, right? So before C++, it was small talk. After that, before that, it was similar. So now the most trending OOP languages we have Java, TypeScript, .NET languages, and scripting languages. TypeScript also designed in 2003 by .NET, Microsoft only. Now we use this TypeScript everywhere instead of JavaScript, and it belongs to Microsoft. So technically, these are all the basic history of OOP languages. Now, how do we use this? We will see now. In object-oriented programming, as I told you, first important is we have to know about JavaScript class. In OOP concepts, one by one, we will see how to work with them. The first concept is class. Actually, while working with OOP concepts before the class, you should know before the class, I will give an overview. JavaScript modules. First, you need to understand about module. Actually, module is nothing but, so a module is a set of functions, values, and classes. A set of functions, values, and classes are defined in a module. Actually, so module resembles a library for building application. In order to build an application, we need library, and library is set of values, functions, and classes. In JavaScript based technologies, the library is collection of values, functions, and classes. All these are kept in a module. They are defined in a module. So module resembles a library for building application. Application is built by using library. Library is built by using modules. Modules are used for designing library. And very important, so JavaScript uses various module systems. JavaScript uses various module systems depending on technology. So many module systems are there, like CommonJS is a module system. Require.js is a module system. UMD is a module system, Universal Module Distribution. AMD is a module system, Asynchronous Module Distribution. These are all different module systems. JavaScript comes with different module systems, and a module is collection of functions and all this. For example, these module systems we have to use according to which technology we are using. Suppose if JavaScript is used in Angular, React, or Node.js or some other technology, these module systems are mandatory. Depending on which module system, we have to learn how to build the libraries. So what is this? I will tell you. Means we will see what is the module system actually. For example, we have to build an application. So to build an application, we need to build an application. We have to build one application. To build an application here, we have designed some functions. We have designed some functions. So we have designed some variables. That means some variables and values we are storing. Now I want to use these functions. I want to use these functions in an application and some other application. Then how? I want reusability. I want extensibility, maintainability. So then what we do is we keep all these functions and values. We keep all these functions and values in a module. We keep in a module. In a module. Now what we do is wherever we want that. So wherever we want that, generally we import this module into that application and use it. Wherever we want, we can import this module into the application and we can use it. So we can create a reusable library by using this module system. And to import in any application and use it, they will not directly work. So to import and use any application, we need a module system. That is what I said. Module system is required. This module system is responsible for taking the library and injecting into any application. It is responsible for taking the library and injecting into application. And there are different module systems. For example, suppose this is application is using Node.js, or it is Angular, or it is React, and it is using JavaScript. And we need a library. Then depending on which technology you are using, different module systems are used. So Node.js, React, Angular, they use different module system. For example, C, suppose I show you like React.js. This is React.js. React.js uses a library. Yeah, this is React.js. And you can see here I'm using where docs, okay, CDN. And you can see that this is the library available as CDN. And you can see the library is using UMD. UMD is Universal Module Distribution. It is a module system which is providing this library to the application. So these type of module systems are required in different technologies. Actually, what we can do is we have a JSLint. JSLint, yeah. JSLint is actually JavaScript language analysis tool. This is lint. This tool is used by real-time developers while working with JavaScript. Why? What is the purpose of language analysis tools? There are so many language analysis tools. So many language analysis tools are there, like JSLint, like PMD, like Sonar. All these are language analysis tools. In real-time projects, we have to use these tools to keep all the code with consistent coding. For example, suppose we are developing an application and we have a team of 100 members in a company. All are working on same project. All are JavaScript people only. But one person is writing a string in double quote. Another person is writing in single quote. Another person is writing in backtick. All three are valid. But that leads to a lot of inconsistency. That means half people are writing like this, others are writing like this. In a project, we don't want such thing to happen. We want all our developers to follow certain standards, certain rules. Somebody writes if condition without curly brace block, it is valid. I told you now already, bad coding, good coding. This, to verify the code quality, we have to use these analysis tools. And JSLint is one popular analysis tool. JavaScript language analysis tool. Actually, this is used by JavaScript developers to verify whether their code is as per standards and have good quality. And you can install this actually. You can install this in your project. So how to install this JSLint? So actually JSLint. So where is it? Instructions. Just a command will be there. Yeah, JSLint command will be there. You can run that documentation. You can see this is the complete JSLint tool, right? So JavaScript programs, it's a code quality tool. We call it as code quality tool. Means it will verify whether you can have the code that you written is good quality or not. As per the standards, it will do. Now, actually, JSLint here, jslint.com. If there's any installations, install this JSLint. Let's do one thing. Install JSLint means npm commands will be there. So official website you can get, but without that, yeah, the package manager is there. I already told you now, all the package managers are present in npm JS. You see npm install JSLint. So suppose you install this JSLint in your project. Let's open our project. And here I'm using the project here. Now here I'm installing npm install. Yeah, npm install. npm install. What is it? JSLint. So save. Okay. So it is installing this JSLint tool. You can use PMD also. PMD is also. Yeah. So PMD. This is PMD. Connection have problem. Yeah, you can see this is PMD. It is also code analysis tool. You can go to documentation. In the documentation, you can see there is rule reference. In that you can see, so our JavaScript rules are this ECMA rules. So HTML, Java, PLSQL, all rules will be there. When you open, it will give you the complete rules information. That means what is good code, what is bad code. It will give you all that information here. You can install this tool and you can use. That means it says that without a curly brace, using if it works, but it is bad. It is not good. Right? The point is language analysis tools are very much important. Now, when you install these language analysis tools and configuration related tools, actually this lint and all these tools, usually you can see this is JSLint is installed. You can include this in node modules. Where is it? Yeah. In node modules, you can install that. You can use this JS lint. This JS lint will give you all the library here. You can import those files depending on version, ES5, ES6. Already we know the JavaScript versions. When you install this, means when you link which version you want for JavaScript, in that it will mention all the rules. It will define all the rules. And if you are not following these rules and you are writing JavaScript code, and automatically it will give you warnings. But you have to include this and you have to use it. You have so many such options. That means you have to know these are old versions. Some old version are there, some new version. Now, when you install that, actually we can also mention the module system. Means which module system to use. Is it common JS? Is it UMD? You can change module system. By default, currently we are using Node.js. Currently we are using Node.js. Actually, by default, with the Node.js, you will get common JS module system. By default, this module system will be working because you already installed Node.js. You installed npm, so already it have a module system. And which module system? Common JS. So your JavaScript will use this module system. If module system is not installed, JavaScript modules will not work. How they are used, I will show you. See, now the concept is how the module system works. What is a module? How it works? Let's see. I will create one folder here, so called JavaScript OOP. I am creating a folder JavaScript OOP. I will create here a new file, some index.html. Okay, that is the file. And in this file, doc type HTML, head, title, some JavaScript modules. Okay. And here I will keep a body. Just I will keep a heading, some module system. Okay. And some paragraph. Now see what I am doing here is in our project, I will add a new folder. In the project, let's add a new folder by name library. In this library, I will add a new file. So I will give the name as any name you can give. Suppose I am giving as demo module. And JavaScript files will have extension .js. Now, I already told you, if you remembered while learning JavaScript, already we discussed that. So if I write any script element, so I told you that inside this we have a function, and above that function, this scope is called module. Am I right? I told you when we learned about global variables and all, I told you that that is module. So actually, this JavaScript file is a module. In this module, we are having a function as some hello. And what it should return? It should return some hello. Welcome to JavaScript OOP. That is the function we return, which is returning some message. Now, anything you defined inside a module can contain some data where MSG is equal to, suppose I will put this MSG message. Okay. And what we will do, we'll put that message, and here I will return that MSG. So we have data and we have function. Whatever functions you write in a module, these are accessible only in this module. If you want to use outside, then you have to mark them as export. That means every JavaScript file is considered as a module. So every JavaScript file is a module. So every JavaScript file is a module, and module comprises of functions, variables, and classes. And every member in what is a class we will see later. Functions and variables already we know. Every member in a module is accessible only within the module within the module within the module. Now if you want a function, or class to be accessed outside module, then you have to mark it as export. That means we need to define as export function and the function name. We have to use export class and name. So what is class later we will see, but you have to mark them as export in order to use them. Okay, now once it is marked as export, several more are there. I have to use this module in this index page. We have to use the module in the index page. So first we have to import that script file. So we have to use script. So script source is equal to, so dot slash, it is in library demo module. We have to import that. After importing that file, in that file means we are linking the file. In the file there is a module, and we have to import that module. Remember, the file name is used as module name. The file name is used as module name. In that module you have a function called hello. That means the file name is used as module name. So I have to import that module. So from that module I have to import this function. Then what we have to do, we have to write a script, and here we have to use import. Import what and from where? We have to import from, so dot slash, we have library slash, so what is it, demo module dot.js. What to import from there? We have to import a function called hello. We have to import a function called hello. There can be so many functions. You can import the functions with a comma. We can add all the functions that are present. Hello. Now what it has to do is, this hello function is returning some message which we want to display in this paragraph. Then what we do here is document.query selector access the paragraph. In that inner HTML, we have to print the details. That means we have to use hello. That is the function. Hello function is a string function. You see hello is returning a string. So already you know that it is what is return type, how return types are defined. We learned in last session. So it is having a message. We are using that message. Now still this will not work. You see now I am running this page, and you can see in the inspect, when we go to the console, you can see in the console, you will find there is an option like, so cannot use import statement, cannot use export. It is unable to use these two things, import, export. Why? Because this import, export related to modules. They are related to modules. If a module system is not working in your machine, then this will not work. But a module system is working in our machine. Then why it is not working? Because the script you have written, it thinks that it is general JavaScript. but this is not general JavaScript. The script type is, it is module. The script type is module. You have to define the type as module. Now it works here. It works here. Unexpected token export, that is not an error. That is just a message showing that in the module system, directly don't use export, because we know so many other points are there. We have to use a class. In a class, we need to keep methods and use them. But still, this module system is working now. That means you have this functionality working. Remember, there can be, in a module, there can be so many functions. In a module, there can be so many functions. So every function, if you want to access, then you have to use export. Now, important is, I am writing another function, export function, and add. It is taking two values, A and B, and it is returning A plus B. Now, if there are many functions, you can make one function as a default function. What is the advantage of default function is that function will be loaded in the memory at the time of loading the module. It will be loaded, but you can access it when required. So here the point is, export means they will be loaded only when you call it. So every module, actually, every module can have one default member. Every module can have one default member, only one. So default member loads automatically. Loads automatically, but you have to call it. You don't want to load any member automatically. We will load only when they are required. Then don't use default. But generally in modules, sometimes one class we want default, so that it will be ready in the memory whenever the module is loaded, so that we can easily access and use it. So if any member is default, that means suppose add is default. If it is not default, how to use it? If it is not default, then you have to go to index. Here you have to import another function. What is it? Add. And what I will do here, I will put a break, and here I will put addition is equal to, and whatever the value comes from add is expecting 10, 30 like this. That means it is going to return that. It is going to handle it. But when you mark any as default, that means you mark as default. If you mark as default, you can see it's not working, because if any one member is default, the default member cannot be used in curly brace. You have to just write add comma like this. This block is used only for the members which are not default. Any default member is there, you have to write outside. You need to configure outside. And in a class, in a module, there can be only one default. You cannot give all default, only one default. And the default you have to import in this way. Now it is working fine. If it is so, for example, hello is also default, then it will not work, because in a module there can be only one default. So how you configure that default? So technically default is used for making any member to load default, but it will be manually called and used. But it will be get ready whenever module is loaded into memory. So it depends how you configure it. So technically syntax, we have to use export default function and the name. Like this we can configure. Now how do we import? You can import the member in a class, in a page. import the member in a page by using import statement. Import statement. That means you have to define import, and here you have to define function. So, and from which location? That means the library slash we have the module dot JS. That's how we need to import. And this is non-default members. If it is a default member, import the function and from and the library. The library module.js you can import in this way. This is for default member. And there can be both default and non-default, right? We have to use import. So this is default function directly. Default function, and we have to use non-default function. We have to define the function from library. So from library, like this, we have to define module.js, right? And very important. So modules are configured with type as module. It's compulsory that when you are writing a script, type must be what? Module. That is compulsory. Otherwise, it cannot work. So this is the basic module system. So JavaScript object-oriented programming starts with designing modules. First, at the higher level, we have modules. And modules are very much important for building a library. Everything we keep inside the module. So this is one example. So add a new folder. So library. In that, add a new module. Add a new JavaScript file into library. And what is the name I given here? Demo module.js. In this, we are adding this code. Now go to your HTML page. Anywhere you can have your HTML page. There you have to import this. This is the how do we import the modules and how do we use the module. So if it is a default, then you have to configure directly. If it is not default, then you have to define in this way, right? This is the first step, means how to define modules, how do we configure it. Remember, every module system, the approach of importing is different. Every module system importing techniques are different. It is not in the same way. According to the common JS module system, we have to use this import. In other module systems, usually what we do is some other module systems will be there. So we can use like this, where some library is equal to, we have to use require, and we can import that module. Which module? I want to import jQuery module name. Through that library, we can access all the functions of jQuery. You see, jQuery have a lot of functions. jQuery, Ajax, jQuery, each jQuery related lot of functions. All are available here. We can import any library by using this technique. This is another module system, right? In general, our common JS module system, how to export, it is same. How to import, it is by using import. So you will see a lot of multiple modules, how we can work with them. But as of now, you saw that module contains function. And already we know functions, so we can use it. Technically, module is not just functions and variables. Module contains classes. Module can contain class. Technically, what is a class? So in object-oriented programming, in OOP languages, so class is a program template. Class is a program template. Technically, we call class as a program template. Many times at learning level, people have different definitions for them. Those are all learning level definitions. Somebody like Java, .NET, all these people, if you ask what is class, they will say class is a blueprint or class is a model or something else. That is all learning basics. That means by their answer itself, you can tell that they are learners of technology. So class is a template professionally, architecturally, is a program template. What is meant by program template? What is meant by template? Already we know what is a template. What is a template? A template contains sample design and functionality. You can implement the sample design and functionality and customize according to your requirements. So template contains sample design and functionality. You can implement and you can customize according to your requirements. So it's not necessary to design everything. Already they provided some design and functionality. You have to just import and you need to customize according to your requirements. That is what actually template, right? For example, everywhere we have these templates now. Suppose already we used so many things. For example, suppose I have to prepare a resume. Then you can see I am taking a new, there is a resume template. What is this resume template? This is a template. What is meant by template? It will give you all the sample design and functionality. Just what you have to do, you have to make changes according to your requirement. You don't need to design everything. That is what the concept of template. So a template comprises of sample data and logic, which you can customize according to your requirements and implement. So it contains sample data and logic, which you can customize according to your requirements and implement. So you don't need to design everything. So class is a template. Class is used for designing templates. Then why people at learning level call different things about class? That is because their nature actually. Suppose, so we have some database. Suppose we have the client requirements, business requirements. Generally, according to the business requirements, we prepare database. According to the business requirements. We design database according to business. Now, as a developer, what you have to do is you need to design a class, and this class can directly interact with database. That means what data you have to deal with. This class may represent the database you are working with. Then in that case, that means this is a template which is interacting with database directly. Then it is called as model. We call it as model. That means a model means which represents data. If a class is representing the data you are working with, then it is called as a model. And if a class is representing the business requirement, that means it is not the data directly according to business requirement. Then generally we call this as an entity. If it is mapping to business requirements, then we call as entity. That means now class is an entity or it is a model. It is not entity every time. It is not model every time. Right? If it is mapping to business requirements, then it is called entity. If it is mapping to the data requirements, then it is model. That means class is model, class is entity. People call logical entity. Class is a logical entity. You will see that definition so many times. But before it is an entity or model, it is what? It is a template. So class is a template at high level. It can work as a model. It can work as an entity. It is not always model and it is not always entity, but it is always template. Class can also be used for reusing components. That is the reason these templates are also called as blueprints. They are also called as blueprint. Templates have a behavior of a blueprint. So class is not blueprint. Class is having a blueprint like behavior. What is blueprint means? A blueprint means, for example, suppose you want a wedding card. Then you go to a DTP center. He will not design a wedding card for you. He will simply open some blueprints and he will show you which one you want. You choose a blueprint. In that blueprint, he will put your data. He will not disturb that blueprint. He will take a template of that blueprint and he will customize according to your requirements. That means a template is coming from a blueprint. So a template is extracted from a blueprint, right? So better always say class as a template. As a template, it have the behavior of blueprint, it have the behavior of entity, it have the behavior of model, but it is not every time model. So class is referred as model when it is mapping with data. Class is referred as entity when it is mapping with business. So class is a blueprint. So for designing templates is a blueprint for designing templates. So always you should say class is a template. It's a program template. Now what a class can contain? Generally in OOP languages, so means here better we will say in JavaScript. In JavaScript object-oriented programming, class can contain only few members. It can contain only 4. It can contain a property. It can contain a method. It can contain an accessor. And it can contain a constructor. Only these can be there in a class. Anything else cannot be there in a class. So if anybody asks like, can we have function in a class? No. Can you have variable in a class? No. Then what we can have in a class? Only 4 members. The properties, methods, accessors, and constructor. So what are these? Now we have to learn. What is a property? What is a method, accessor, constructor? We need to know. That we'll see tomorrow. Right? In tomorrow's session, we will discuss about these all class related things. We don't have much to discuss about OOPs here. Only limited options are there. Those we will learn here. Then we can go into events, event binding techniques and others, right? We can use this OOP for building large scale applications. That we will see how to do it. Okay. Next level we will see tomorrow. Okay.